All right, please put yourself on mute. Again, welcome to Scholarships and Financial Aid. Who's here for help with the FAFSA? Do we have anyone here that needs help with the FAFSA? Okay. Well, once we get started, we don't want to lose any of those folks. I know the vast majority of the people have expressed an interest in scholarships and college affordability. So, Vivek, I'm going to ask you to keep a lookout on who comes in and see if we can, so that we're, I did send out the handouts that everyone sent. So with no further ado, Associate Director of Student Success in the College of Engineering, our very special guest is Lori Pence. Lori.
Okay. And I can share my screen.
Let me make sure I'm not sharing. Yes, you can. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that you joined us to hear my presentation on scholarships and affordability. And all of you should have a copy of the presentation, because sometimes when I'm giving this presentation live, everyone is trying to very quickly write everything I'm saying down. And that's why I think it's helpful to give you the presentation up front. That way you can listen and take very few notes if possible. And there's going to be time in the end for questions. So this presentation should take me about 30 minutes to get through, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, because I think that's really where the engagement happens. And more than likely, the question you have, a lot of others have the same question, and so you get to learn from each other. So welcome to Purdue University. Again, since we're doing this virtual, I wanted to select a picture of what campus looks like, because we so enjoy bringing students and families to campus, especially during the fall. This is when the campus, in my opinion, looks the best. So I'm a fall person. So first of all, I want to really kind of talk about what Purdue is, because again, we're a national recognized institution, and some students and families think that we're a private institution. And so I like to kind of give some terminology of what Purdue is, because this does impact how we award scholarships and aid. So first of all, we're public. We're not a private institution. We're Indiana's land-grant college. So we're very proud of this point. Indiana has only one land-grant college, and Purdue is the land-grant institution. We're also a Research One university, and that's important because we provide undergraduate research opportunities for students who want to get into the lab because they're interested more on the R&D side of things, or they already know that they are going to be seeking an advanced degree, either a master's or a PhD. And so having those students in the lab during their undergraduate experience is pretty important. So we're entering this time as November 1 is approaching and some other deadline dates, that students can start to stress out about what schools to apply to. There's different strategies out there regarding backup schools and reach schools and how many schools students should be applying to. And so it can be stressful, and I realize that. And so I want to already incorporate this into my presentation. So first of all, an investment in higher education is probably one of the most important purchases families can make. And so families need to consider the total cost and benefit of every institution that they are looking at either applying to or once the student gets admitted to that institution. And some terminology that sometimes gets thrown around, ROI, and that's return on investment. That, as I just said, families are making a huge investment into higher education. And so what is the return on that investment? For some families, that might mean the power of that degree in the workplace, on starting salary, on lifetime earnings that degree will most likely produce for the student. Value is another term we talk about, and that's really what is the value of a Purdue engineering degree, and that's really for families to decide what that value is. Again, the investment piece, as well as where that degree, as well as network of being included in the Purdue alumni network, and how that is going to play out for students once they leave Purdue. As I said, the very first bullet, consider the total costs and benefits. And when the award letters start coming in, they're going to, they're not all going to look alike. They're probably going to be all different. But really what you want to kind of sift through, and I have further slides on this, is really what is the out-of-pocket cost for the family? That is really what you're going to need to kind of compare and contrast when you're looking at multiple institutions. A tip I have for families that are navigating this whole process, especially for the first time, is you want to be a consumer. And when those award letters come in, what is the cost of attendance? And what is going to be our out-of-pocket expense? Are the scholarships renewable? How much of this is in gift aid? How much is this in loans? And so again, I have slides for all of this terminology because I think it's very important. Oftentimes we talk about fit and financial because this tends to be two of the main levers in either deciding what schools the student is going to apply to, or what schools, when they get into the college choice process in the spring, on which college they're going to ultimately select. And the fit is on the student. That's why it's so important, and we're really missing this piece about students coming to campus and walking the campus and talking with students and faculty and just really getting a feel for the institution. Is this an institution that they feel they are going to be happy, that they're going to thrive, that the college has some of the prerequisites that they're looking for in an institution for their undergraduate experience. So now I'm going to roll into University Merit Scholarships. University Merit Scholarships are offered to students who are high school seniors and they're applying to Purdue for the first time. There are two main University Merit Scholarship program, the trustee and the presidential. The FAFSA is not required. I get this question a lot. For some institutions, they require families to file the FAFSA. And before I go further, because we talk in acronyms a lot, and so the FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And so instead of saying that all the time, everyone uses the acronym of the FAFSA. But it's not required. It's not required for merit scholarship consideration at Purdue University. However, some other institutions do require it. So you want to ask that question if it's not given to you out front. And I'll go into the criteria of all of these down towards the latter part of the slide. The marquee is another university merit, but also financial need. So in this instance, the marquee scholarship is only offered to our Indiana residents. And to be considered for this scholarship, families do need to file a FAFSA. The preferred filing date for the FAFSA is about mid-December, December 14th. However, families have up until March 1 to file. That's the Purdue filing date. But for first-year families, we really like to get the FAFSA in as quickly as possible so we can get the award letter out. And again, I'll be talking more specifically regarding these deadline dates in another slide. Another point that I want to make, because I get this question a lot, is there is no separate scholarship application for the trustee, presidential, or marquee. So any of the scholarships, the major scholarships, there is not an additional application. It all hinges on the admissions application, and if it does have a need component, the FAFSA being filed. But there are no separate scholarship application to be considered for the trustee, presidential, or the marquee. Applicants are considered for merit-based scholarships after formal admittance to Purdue, meaning after they have been admitted through the admissions process, they will be reviewed for scholarships. Again, students have to apply to Purdue University by November 1st. They have to have a completed application file. That means all, everything sent by other agencies, everything with the application, so a completed file. So everything that's required to be reviewed for admissions needs to be in on or before November 1, which is quickly approaching. So oftentimes we get the question of, if they have a certain GPA or a certain test score, will they automatically receive one of these scholarships? And the answer is no. It goes through a holistic review process. And for the College of Engineering students, it's very competitive because a lot of the students have very high academic marks. And only about 10% of the accepted students receive a university merit scholarship in the College of Engineering. So this number does fluctuate for other academic disciplines, but for College of Engineering, only about 10% of the students who are admitted to Purdue receive a trustees or presidential scholarship. However, these scholarships, the amounts of them, for trustee, it's $16,000 for non-residents, $10,000 for residents. And then for presidential, it's $4,000 for residents and $10,000 for non-residents. Obviously, the difference in the award amount is comparable to the cost of attendance that non-residents versus residents pay. But they are renewable up to 8 semesters, as long as the student maintains a 3.0 GPA. And I say semesters because for students who co-op instead of years, if students are gonna co-op or take an internship or study abroad, and they're going to withdraw from the university and then re-enroll, or they're not gonna show enrollment because they're partaking in a co-op or an internship, they're not going to be losing any of their usage. Their scholarship will just be on hold. So I like to talk to this in semesters rather than years. Okay, now that I kind of briefly talked about university scholarships, I'm going to lead into the College of Engineering scholarships. And there's no additional, again, there's no additional scholarship application that is required. The College of Engineering does not utilize the Purdue supplemental scholarship. The 2 pieces of information that we utilize in reviewing for scholarships is, again, the admissions application, and everything included in that admissions application is reviewed, as is the FAFSA. Again, you want to make sure to apply by November 1. That is so key for so many scholarships at Purdue. We have a small number of scholarships available for first-year students within the College of Engineering because a majority of our scholarships require a certain engineering discipline or major. There are for students in mechanical engineering or civil engineering. And how we admit students into the College of Engineering at Purdue, we admit everyone to first-year engineering. So that negates a lot of the scholarships that we have available. However, students can apply for scholarships in years 2 through 4 with their professional school. So most of our scholarships are awarded to current students. We award about $3.5 million a year. So we, we do have several scholarships to award. The scholarships that are available do vary by the different majors, but overall, everyone has opportunity to apply for scholarships. Actually, their opportunities to apply for scholarships increased very much more once they're a current student than when they were a high school senior. So, just keep that in mind that a majority of our scholarships are available for current students. Again, the College of Engineering uses the admissions application and the FAFSA if the scholarship requires need. It goes through a holistic process. Again, what is holistic? The process is not formulatic. Again, it's not your son or daughter received has this high school GPA, has this certain test score, they're automatically going to receive a scholarship. We're looking at the whole student because it's going to take the whole student for the student to be successful when they get here. We want to see what courses they took. What did they do outside the classroom? Why do they want to major in engineering? Why Purdue? These are some of the things that we're definitely going to look at in reviewing students for scholarship. The next section that I want to talk to, again, I kind of spoke to this a little bit at the beginning of the presentation. I started my career 25 years ago in the Office of Financial Aid, and award letters hold so much information. Sometimes they are very transparent, sometimes they are not. And terminology is so key, but when you're going through this for the first time, terminology can be very overwhelming and intimidating. So hopefully the information that I'm providing in the next 2 slides will help you navigate the process once the award letters start coming in from various institutions. So sometimes schools call it an award letter, sometimes they call it an aid notification, but these 2 terms are pretty interchangeable. And so what's in the award letter? The award letter, if the student is going to be receiving any scholarships or grants, we refer to these types of aid as gift aid or free types of assistance, meaning the monies do not have to be repaid back. So they are monies that offset the cost of attendance, and the families, the student nor the parents have to repay those funds back. So it's a gift. It's free types of assistance. The Purdue Promise is a program at Purdue that is for some of our 21st century students. So if they are a 21st century, the Purdue Promise has an added family income, meaning not all 21st century students are eligible for the Purdue Promise, but some of them are, and it's a great program that allows some wraparound services and provides an aid eligibility package for the student and family. So that's something that is unique to Purdue regarding 21st century students. Work study is another aid that I receive a lot of questions on. It's need-based, actually. So for students to qualify for work study, They need to demonstrate a certain level of need. And this allows students to have eligibility to work at a lot of on-campus jobs. So if a student wants to work or needs to work and they have work study, they're going to be eligible for a lot of different working types of situations on campus. However, we have tons of on-campus jobs. So even if a student does not have work study eligibility, they were not awarded it, does not mean that they are not eligible to find a job on campus. Within the College of Engineering, we would prefer students who, again, want to work or need to work to really start on campus and securing an on-campus job, because it's very flexible, meaning students can work 2-hour shifts, because we know as employers of the campus employing students that the students' number one objective is school, is studies. And so that we're going to have to work around their schedule, their school schedule, as well as if they've got group projects, they might have 3 exams during the week. And so they're going to have to maybe have reduced hours that week. So it's far more flexible in arranging times to work than the student will probably receive working off campus. In the College of Engineering, especially during the first year, we really prefer the students not work over 10 hours. After the first year, and once they start mastering their time management, this could go up to 15 hours, but we typically don't like to see engineering students work over 15 hours if they don't have to. So the other terminology is loans. So once you kind of move past the free types of assistance or gift aid, the next type of aid that is typically included in a student's award letter is loans. And this could be student loans as well as parent loans. The student loan is either going to be subsidized or unsubsidized. And I'm going to just briefly talk about the differences. The subsidized means that the government will pay for the interest on the loan while the student is going to school. Unsubsidized is where the student will either pay the interest on the loan while the student is in school, or they will defer it. The Federal Plus loan is actually a parent loan. This is typically not awarded in the student's initial package. However, the Purdue Financial Aid Office does include this verbiage in the award letter that if families are interested in learning more information about the Federal Plus loan, to contact their office. The Federal Plus loan works differently than the student loan. It works very similar to a personal loan, where credit history will be taken and a debt asset ratio will be configured, where you have none of that for the student loan because it's guaranteed by the federal government. So this is just one option that families have to be able to afford the college expenses. Again, I don't want to delve deep into the financial aid too deeply because one, that's not my expertise anymore. And the folks in the Office of Financial Aid at Purdue will definitely have more, can definitely answer your specific questions regarding, gift aid and the amount of scholarships and grants available, or if you want to know the difference between state grants and federal grants and really kind of get into the nitty gritty, that is definitely questions for the Financial Aid Office, and they will be happy to answer those questions for you. So I often, again, have many conversations with families to say, well, we didn't receive as much financial aid as we needed. Our estimated family contribution per the FAFSA was higher than what is realistically feasible for our families to contribute. But my son or daughter really wants to come to Purdue. Are there other financial resources that are available? And the answer is yes. Many of our students participate in either a co-op, an internship, or undergraduate research. We strongly encourage students to have one of these experiences before they graduate. Luckily for our College of Engineering students, they're paid quite well in an internship or a co-op. The research opportunities typically don't pay as well, but again, research opportunities might again be more in line for those students who are wanting to advance their degree and go into master's or PhD. They're not going directly into the professional arena after their bachelor's degree, which that's internships and co-ops really cultivate that. And so co-ops and internships are very similar, and I don't want to get too in depth with this, but co-ops allow for students to rotate between being on campus and working 40 hours. And so when they are away from campus working for a semester, you're not incurring expenses or costs, and they're making money. And then their savings, their salary savings, will then be able to help offset some of the educational expenses of the following semester when they are on campus. So the co-op program is going to rotate the student from being on campus, taking courses, to then taking that knowledge that they've learned so far in engineering and apply it to real world experiences. Let me see when we are on time. Internships are, again, the same thing. Again, it's about taking what the student has learned in the classroom and applying it in real world experiences. Typically, internships are done during the summer. Co-ops can be done fall, spring, or summer. But there is one major difference between co-ops and internships. And this really plays out on the FAFSA. If students are need-based and they're receiving need-based aid, it would probably behoove them to have a co-op versus an internship, because the earnings on a co-op are exempted on the FAFSA, meaning you don't have to report those earnings. However, the earnings, income earned from an internship, is not exempt. And as I stated a little earlier, engineering students are paid quite well for their experience in the co-op or their internship. And so what do those ranges look like? When we're not in COVID-19, so I have to put that disclaimer out there, students who were in a co-op or an internship during the fall or spring could earn between 10 and 15,000. And these internships and co-ops are all over the country. And so, one element on how much the student is going to be able to save from their experience is somewhat dictated on room and board, and room and board expenses are negotiable. Some companies are providing housing for students or stipends for students to make sure that students can intern or co-op with them, knowing that they're going to have to manage the room and board cost because the student can't be turning over all of their earnings to pay for them to live there for the internship experience. So while 10 and 15,000 is typically your base earnings, typically students aren't able to save all of that money because they're going to have to pay for room and board unless they secure a co-op or internship experience and they can live at home. And some of our students do that. For students that are not directly going into the industry or really want some research experience, we have research opportunities that students can get into the lab working for a faculty member and be paid for this experience. This is the slide that I really want you all to kind of ingrain in your mind, because deadlines are driving a lot of the admissions process as well as the college choice process. And every institution has different timelines. And so you might want to create like an Excel spreadsheet to kind of monitor all the institutions that your son or daughter is interested in, and really making sure that you're mindful of all the deadlines pertaining to just the various parts of the process. So the very first deadline, or not deadline date, but a date to remember, is the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, became available October 1. So families can start filling out the FAFSA now. And a couple of years ago, there was a major change with the FAFSA that the information that goes into the FAFSA that you utilize to fill it out is prior year tax return information. So the information that you will use to fill out the FAFSA for fall 21-22 is going to be your tax return from 2019, which for many people, they should have already filed. And so that information should be relatively available to you to be able to fill out the FAFSA. A date that is coming vastly quickly is that we have a priority deadline for admissions of November 1. So again, that is to have a completed application. Everything that's required for admittance at Purdue needs to be submitted on or by November 1. To be considered for university merit scholarships at the university level, students need to apply by November 1. To be considered for College of Engineering scholarships, students need to apply by November 1. And again, please remember that no additional scholarship application is needed for the merit scholarships or the engineering scholarships. The FAFSA priority deadline for first year students or high school seniors that are applying to Purdue, we would prefer that the FAFSA is filed by December 14th. This will aid greatly in sending you all an award letter by mid-February. So those families that file a FAFSA by December 14th are almost going to be guaranteed, very likely you will receive an award letter from Purdue by mid-February. However, the FAFSA regular deadline date for Purdue is March 1. Again, as I mentioned, we try our hardest to get out the award letters to families as soon as possible, because we realize that the award letter and the amount of aid that families need, or just that information concerning what is going to be our out-of-pocket cost, is a factor in determining what school the student is going to choose to attend. We know how important this is, and therefore we want to try our very best to get this information out to you as quickly as possible, so you have all the time you need as a family to review the various award letters, make secondary visits, and to try and help you in the college choice process. Right now, typically, May 1 is the admissions to deadline date to accept your admissions to Purdue. Because of COVID-19 last year, we extended this to June 1. And right now, I think we will go with May 1. If that changes, obviously admissions will communicate this information. Here is my information. The best way to reach me is by email. That way I can monitor emails and make sure that I'm responding to everyone that has reached out to me in a timely manner. So it's helpful if you email me, but by any means, if you have a unique situation or you're just far more comfortable talking to someone over the phone and want it to be a little bit more personable, please feel free to give me a phone call. I will be more than happy to converse with you regarding any questions or concerns you have. And this is my direct office number that's listed here on this slide. Okay, now, woohoo, I only went over by 6 minutes. This is really the part of the presentation that I really enjoy because I want to engage the attendees into the presentation and ask questions either that you had of the presentation that you want me to clarify or elaborate further on, or if there is something that you already came to this session wanting to know and I didn't cover it on the slides, please, ask me a question and I will try my best to address it. And if I don't know the information, I will forward you to the appropriate person that should be able to answer your question. So at this point, I would like to open it up for questions.
Questions?
Oh, don't be shy.
I do have a question.
Okay.
If the student is accepted for the exploratory studies, will he be, or she qualify for any scholarships, or is only when they're accepted at the engineering program?
Okay. So exploratory studies, obviously they will be considered for university merit scholarships because, university merit scholarships are open to any student applying to any of our different academic disciplines. Okay. So that does not change at all regarding process or deadline date. Exploratory studies has a few scholarships. We have more than they do. And it's not about who has more, but they're a relatively new entity of the College of at Purdue University. So I would encourage you to contact them directly regarding how they award scholarships to admitted freshmen, to incoming admitted freshmen. So that would definitely be a question I would have you ask of them directly and what their process is, because they may require the Purdue supplemental scholarship form.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Good question.
I'll go ahead and put the director of exploratory studies. I'm going to look her email, and put that into the chat. Now, if there's anyone that needs help with FAFSA questions, we have someone in this room right now that we can put you in a breakout room. So just let us know in the chat, and you can go in the breakout room to get your questions answered.
Okay, I'm going through the chat because sometimes people are more comfortable asking their questions in the chat. Yes, okay. just to clarify, there is no additional applications or information for the University Merit Scholarships or College of Engineering scholarships besides the general admissions. Correct. There is no additional scholarship application that the student needs to fill out to be considered for the University Merit or the College of Engineering. They just need to apply and have a completed application by November 1. All right, is there any reason to load my financial and tax documents into the College Board website for any reason regarding financial aid? I was confused that they were asking for taxes and salary documents. Do they offer special scholarships on some level and require it? Okay, I think what you might be asking for, because I get this question a lot, is does Purdue require the CSS? And that's the College Board scholarship application. Some of the private universities, as well as public, require families to fill out the CSS via the College Board website and FAFSA. Purdue is just a FAFSA school. Again, we don't require it for students who just want to be considered for merit scholarships. But if you do want to be considered for merit and need-based scholarships, we do require the FAFSA to be submitted. But we are not a CSS school. So College Board information, we do not utilize that at Purdue. We're not a CSS school. But again, that's why it's so important. And you have to have some kind of tracking document to list all of your institutions, list all of your deadline dates, and then do they require the CSS, the College Board Scholarship application, or are they a FAFSA school, or do they require either or? So you kind of got to vet that out. Again, that speaks back to being a consumer and looking for all of that information on their website. What year, I'm going to go to the next question. What year can you start co-op? This is a great question. Purdue has a 5 rotation and a 3 rotation co-op program. For students who are opting in the 5 rotation, what that means is they will be participating in 5 co-ops. So they will be away from campus during 5 sessions, and they will be working full time. And for those students, we really want that first co-op experience to happen either the summer after their first year, so the summer between their first year and their second year, or the fall or spring semester of their second year. If you're electing for the 3 rotation co-op program, you really don't, have to start your first rotation until your junior year. So you don't have to have experience. You do not have to have an experience during your sophomore year if you decide to follow the 3 rotation. I have a question on, are there other requirements for the honors college? No, not. The only thing that's required is that you need to identify yourself on the admissions application that you do want to be considered for the honors college. And then there are some essay questions that pertain to the honors college. So you have to kind of self-select yourself in if you do want to be evaluated for the honors college. So you will take that initiation step during the admissions application. But other than, stating that you're interested in the honors college, that you're applying to be considered for the honors college, and then there are 2 essay questions, there's nothing supplemental or additional outside of the application to be considered for the honors college. Okay, I have a question, Derek.
Yes.
The question is this presentation going to be recorded and slides available? They just got on Zoom 10 minutes ago.
Yes. I emailed all participants, parents and in your email, all parents and all participants of the Promise program, I emailed you about 5 o'clock this evening, maybe about 10 minutes to 5, tonight's presentation. I couldn't get it in PowerPoint. It was too big. So I converted it to a PDF. So you'll be, and it's called Promise Scholarships and Affordability presentation. So it should be in, and we're recording right now. So probably by tomorrow sometime, Vivek, who's sitting in this room right, he'll be putting that up. So you will be able to watch this wonderful video later.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Because you guys have raised some really good questions so far.
Now, I wanted to mention something because we're looking at students who haven't completed their application. I pulled a report today, and then I went into the system, and I saw that a number of students had initially submitted their transcript, but they haven't submitted it. They need an updated version of what classes you're taking this year. So, and that was quite a number of students who hadn't done that. And also there were students who just hadn't submitted their transcript. But we have around, I think we have 27 students that I looked at applications that they're not complete. And so you want to make sure, and you can feel free to email me, but because I do have a report on which applications are complete and which are not, if you're not sure.
Yes, and please know that we get a bulk of our scholarship, our admissions applications like October 31st and November 1. So if your son or daughter is a procrastinator, please know that they are in great company. It's not something that we encourage, but you know, every year we see more and more students wait until right before the deadline date. But that deadline date is so important for so many scholarship and financial aid considerations. So we want to, you know, we just can't harp enough that we really want all the students to have a completed file in by November 1st. Okay.
Someone says if the application says complete, then we should be okay. I believe so.
Yes, I'm in agreement that there too. So if your application portal says complete and you see check marks next to the box for all the things that are required to be considered for admissions, I would screen print it. And that way, if there are questions down the road, you could say, when I logged in on such and such date, it told me everything was okay and it was complete. I'm all about having documentation because while technology is wonderful, it does fail. And it's just nice to have some backup documentation if you need it.
Right. We will be calling all students who've not completed their application. We're calling them this week just to make sure, students and their parents. So, so you might get a call if, you know, if it's not completed, because we just want to, you know, if you're stuck, we've got students here who may be able to help you through the process.
Right. And I know
it's just a courtesy.
Yes, and it's so helpful because again, you know, I have one daughter through the process. My son is a sophomore in high school, and it's probably going to. Yeah, I joke they're 7 years apart, and it takes about 7 years to recoup from the experience, because you know when they're applying to 5 or more schools, this can get very hard and challenging to remember everyone's deadline dates, who needs what, and what, is it required? Is it strongly encouraged? There's a lot of terminology that's out there. And so you just have to really be a consumer and really dig deep. And if you're not finding something on people's web pages, reach out and contact them. Because believe me, we don't always sometimes put information in the most likely spot. So if you're not finding what you need, please reach out and contact us.
Feel free to call our office or email us at mep@purdue.edu because we want you to get the help you need.
Yes. And I know there's a spot on the common application where you will put your senior classes, because obviously there's not transcripts for those yet, because you're currently taking them, and transcripts won't be available regarding what you're doing currently for the fall semester until the beginning of spring. And that is why on the common application, you will list the courses that you're taking during your senior year. And then that will be married up with a final transcript once that becomes available.
Lori, I think that's what I was seeing today, because it said, it was saying what was unchecked was senior year courses. So it may not be a transcript per se listing what classes you take the following year, but perhaps they didn't list their classes that they're taking.
Right.
And
So
they need to know.
Right. Yes. Because that information is used in the evaluation process on what courses you're taking. Is it an honors section? Is it an AP section? Are you taking any dual credit? So all of that information needs to be explained in the application, the admissions application. Okay, we have about 8 minutes left. Is there any more questions out there? This is also a part of the presentation when I get this silence, when I'm face to face, and I'm missing seeing all of you. I present so much better in person because I need the energy of the room. But what I presented might have overwhelmed some of you or all of you, and that is okay. So if that has happened to you, please know that you're not alone. And if it takes a couple of days for you to kind of look through the slides or listen to the recording again, that's why I gave my email address and my phone number, and you can follow up. You may not have a question today, but you might have a question 2 days from now. So please feel free to contact me.
So, and if you do not see me at this, and if you do not see it in your email, feel free to send me an email. I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in the chat. So if you don't have, I'll be happy to send you.
We did get another question in. The question is, do all freshmen live on campus at Purdue? Again, great question, because every institution has a different protocol regarding freshmen and living on campus. Purdue does not require students to live on campus. So freshmen are not required to live on campus, though a very high majority of the students do. We're in the 90th percentile of students who are freshmen that live on campus. Why? There is significant research that states students who live on campus actually have a better GPA. And one of that is, the community living that they're involved in, proximity to their classes, their buildings, libraries. They're in the middle where most of our resident halls are in the middle of campus. So they're in this, core hub of the university. And so it's very easy to get to the libraries, to study spaces, meet for group projects. You're on campus, so you're in the zone. And so I think a lot of students are more diligent, study more, are more structured, more disciplined when they're on campus than when they're off campus. So while not a requirement, we strongly encourage, if you can live on campus your freshman year, to definitely have that. It's the experience of living on campus, but again, it has that academic component where we see students perform better inside the classroom when they do live on campus. Oh, you're welcome. I hope it was informative. I know I go through the slides very quickly. That is why I like to give everyone the slides so you're not quickly trying to make notes of everything, but something for you to kind of reflect back to, because again, the more of these sessions that you sit in, you might become overwhelmed with the amount of information. It's just nice to be able to look back over things that you have some questions or concerns about. But very good questions. So I miss seeing you all. I do not like presenting virtually to a blank screen. I am not a fan. So I will be glad when COVID-19 is behind us and I can present in front of individuals again, because I miss it.
I know. Well, we see a number of comments here, Lori. We see, thank you very much for today's presentation. It was very informative. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. So whatever comments you have, we'd love to have them, because we want to know how we can improve our programming. And if there's anything, there's another one. Thank you very much. This was very helpful. We want you to get all the help you need.
Yes.
Because this is we want to demystify this process because it may be very new to many of you. And so we want to connect you with resources and do anything we can to help with this process.
Yes. Yeah.
Any remaining questions? Because we got 3 minutes. We don't have to hold you for 3 minutes. You can go ahead and go, but we want to say thank you to our speakers today. In this session, Lori Pence, Associate Director of Student Success, the College of Engineering. Also, Kirsten Reynolds with the Department of Financial Aid, so she's here. So if you have any questions related to financial aid, we've got an expert here. We have 2 experts here, actually. Danielle, I'm trying to move my thing so I can see her last name. Danielle Hayden is also here. So if you have specific financial aid questions, we've got something. I think Apsisola.
Abisola.
Yes. Do you have any questions? Because you originally asked, I don't know, did you get to go into a FAFSA session?
Yes, I met Kirsten already. She answered my question.
Oh, she did. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you've got contact information. If there's anything you guys need, of course, I'm in touch with these folks. If there's any questions you have, I'll be happy to forward on. Tomorrow night, let me go ahead and share my screen and just show you what we have coming up. This should only take 30 seconds. I'd like to show you, here we go. Tomorrow night, we'll we have virtual residence hall tour. There'll be 3 different residences that we'll show. We'll have students who will be touring you. And so this will be a live demonstration. So I think our students will get a kick out of it, and parents are more than welcome to participate. And then the last 3 days of this week, we've got our application hotline from 3 to 6. Any question that you have about your application, any question that you have about Purdue, about the MEP program or the MEP family, we are more than happy. We do have one person that I'm admitting right now into the session. They're running a little, so they may have a quick question. So, panelists, if you do have 1 second, we want to maybe give that person an opportunity. But for everyone else who's been you're gonna, well, we say so long. Other than the person that just joined us, we'd like to ask everyone else to have a good evening and stick around if you have any additional questions. Night. Maria, I see that you just joined us. Maria Jose D. Hello, hola.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Fine, fine, fine. How can we help you tonight? We've got folks from financial aid who are here, and we also have a person representing scholarships and affordability.
Yes, I'm interested in the scholarships to know more about it.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter is applying, uh, but not on the early decision date. Early action. I'm confused with the two things: early decision, early action. So that's why I joined the Zoom.
Yes. Well, good question. And I can answer that because different institutions call things differently in regards to priority or early action. And I will say that for your daughter to be considered for scholarships at the university level or the College of Engineering, she's going to need to apply by November 1. So, you know, that.
But the things that she told me about it is that she wants to apply to some universities. She doesn't want to be bind to just one, right? And that's why I'm connecting to more about it and be ready to apply on November 1st or later. I don't know.
Okay. And so what I will say is this early action can be deceiving. And so for some schools, if a student applies during early action, and that's not what we call it here at Purdue.
Okay.
We call it, you know, the preferred deadline, or priority deadline. We use priority deadline. And so early action, what some universities and schools, when they have an early action deadline and students apply and are accepted, there's restrictions on that student, meaning if I apply and I get in, that I have to go to that particular school. It limits them. It kind of puts them, put some restrictions on them. Purdue does not follow that ideology. Again,
Okay.
we're a priority school, which means no difference in the sense of once she's admitted, she will have until May 1 to make her decision. We do not, when we give our scholarship offers, again, they have up until May 1. We're not giving them an abbreviated time to be able to respond and then accept their admissions. Okay.
Okay.
So our priority deadline works very similar to regular admissions. We do not correlate with early action. Okay.
Okay. Okay. My one question about it. My daughter born in USA while I was doing my master degree, but the whole life she lived here in Ecuador. So she's applying as an international student. So the scholarships that she can apply is for merit scholarships. She's a good student, and the GPA. But I want to know a little more about. I've heard about FAFSA,
Mhm.
so I don't know if it relates it.
Well, do we have any of the financial aid folks still on the call?
Yes, Kirsten is still here. I can put them in a breakout room.
Yeah, because I think this is a unique situation where the student is a US citizen because
Yes.
she probably has dual citizenship.
Yes.
And so this is a little bit of the nitty gritty that I would prefer that you talk to someone from financial aid regarding, since the student citizenship status is different from the parents, but she's a dependent student, they can vet all of that out for you. Okay,
Karen, Kirsten, you're,
I'm sorry, I forgot I muted myself. So you want to know how she should fill out the application?
well, her question is FAFSA. The daughter was born in the United States. She has dual citizenship.
you know what? She's already gone to your breakout room.
Oh, okay.
So I sent her invitation. So I should have sent her to Danielle's room, but
Danielle's here
okay.
too. So just put me in the same breakout room that you put her in.
Yeah.
So she's in your breakout room. You should be able to go back to it.
I don't think so.
You hit breakout room at the bottom of the screen, Kirsten, it will allow you to rejoin and I can jump in there with you.
Do you see? Danielle, you can go ahead and join. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
they're gone. We just had someone else new just join us to see if she's still here. Aisha just joined us. Aisha's iPhone.
Hi, yep, that's me.
Now
Hi.
this session was taped, so we'll be posting it. Everyone know that we post. So if you go to YouTube, and of course it's in the email that I sent today, but if you go to YouTube and in the search button, type MEP, MEP, Purdue MEP, it'll come up with our channel and you'll be able to see these videos.
Okay.
But go ahead and ask your question.
Didn't have any specific questions, just trying to see what was going to be said on here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the slides were sent to your email. So if you didn't get them, please let Derek know. And then the session was recorded. So hopefully the slides and the recording will incorporate for you. But if it does not, and you have questions and concerns regarding what was presented, my contact information is included on the slides.
Okay,
Okay?
great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a good
Okay.
evening.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.
Anyone else have any questions? I see several are still here. Karen is still here and Hughes is still here. Any final questions? Lori, thank you so much.
Yep.
You have a
Yep.
great evening.
You too.
Okay, we certainly appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Vivek, thank you so much.
Of course.
Can you stop the recording?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thank you.